Matchy, matchy little twins.
Matchy.
Hey, I'm Liv.
And I'm Amy.
And this is Girls Gone Spooky.
Yay.
What's up?
What's up?
I'm very excited about today's episode. And
Me too.
as you probably saw in my notes, I brought a lot to the table.
Yeah, I kind of did too, so this could be
And I
long.
liked that we both did like little stories and then like a main thing.
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
excited for this one.
I know, me too.
Should we just jump in?
I think we should.
Okay,
We're
let's
doing
just fucking
scary
do it.
stories.
Should we do our I'll do my quickie stories, you do your quickie stories, and then we get into the big ones?
Sure. How many quickie ones do you have? Because I have kind of
I have 4.
Okay.
But some of them are on the longer side. That's great. Okay. That's perfect. We'll just do a little alternating.
Okay.
Okay. So, we told you last week we had some like funky topics and we were like, we got to get back to our roots, which is spooky little ghost stories. So that is what we're bringing you today. So this is from the Paranormal Encounters subreddit, and this is from Happy Iraq 7. And they prompted, give me your best spine-chilling real-life ghost story. And then underneath that, they said, let it rain in the comments.
Perfect.
Let it rain ghosties. Okay, so this is from Zealous Ideal I 836. These are really like weird usernames today, and I'm struggling a little.
From a paranormal subreddit, though.
That is very fair. Okay, so they say, I moved around a lot as a kid. We were the kind of family that would have boxes that would always go unopened and undisturbed between moves. My dad was a good guy, but had issues with authority, so he usually had issues keeping a stable job for more than a year or so. When the lease was up, we'd move closer to his new job. Anyway, during one of these moves, my dad found a steal next to his job. It was an old 2-bed, 1-bath house with a detached garage. I want to say it was around $300 a month for rent.
Great.
What's that like? In 2003. Apparently it was in a rough part of town, so that's probably why. The landlord told us, quote, I won't go into the specifics, but I'm required to tell you that someone passed away in the house within the last 5 years, end quote. My dad saw a great deal and shrugged it off. We moved in soon after, and things started very quickly. There were noises in the house at all times. It was like we had other people living there with us. It would generally be noises that you'd expect when other people were around. Things like drawers opening and closing, doors swinging around on their own, water turning on and off in the bathroom. Nothing malicious was happening, so we just lived with it. Another weird quirk about the house was that the front door had a keyhole on both sides, so you could not leave the locked house unless you had the keys. That's so weird.
I would need to get rid of that.
I hate that. Locksmith, bring him in. Okay, so you can probably guess where this is going, but not a week or so after we moved in, we lost the keys. Boxes are still littering the house, and we are still in unpacking hell, so my dad, obviously stressed by the whole situation, started getting loud about the keys. He accused me of stealing them and was cursing and being a general pain. Then, out of nowhere, this gives me chills, we hear the keys hit the floor in the living room, right in front of the couch, onto the floor.
So weird.
Like someone just went, ding,
ding. Oh,
yeah.
Man. Wow.
So he picks them up, tries to rationalize what just happened, says, fuck it, leaves the house for work. I'm like, don't leave me here.
I know. It's a
bold
move.
Yeah, over the next few months, the stupid keys are the center of the activity. My dad would put them in a glass bowl on top of our tube TV every day after work, and somehow they would be moved by the morning. My favorite spot by far was when we found them in a sealed box of pots and pans that we still needed to unpack. It had those little handle holes on the sides of the box, and it's like someone just shoved them into the hole and out of sight. We all got a laugh out of that one. Right now, you're probably like, okay, what's spine chilling about some noises and like keys moving around? Well, here you go. The worst thing that happened fairly frequently was the stomping. Most nights around 2 to 3 a.m., there would be very heavy footsteps pacing in the hallway outside of our bedrooms. I confirmed with my dad when I was older that yes, it kind of freaked him out too. We had been living in this place for about 8 months at this point, and I was maybe around 8 years old. Also, he's only 8, and the dad's like, bye, I'm off to work.
Gotta go to work.
The hell?
I know. That's not good.
Anyway, I recognize like some parents don't really have a choice, but still. Okay, I heard the stomping one night and I just couldn't take it. I screamed out into the hallway, "Stop stomping around! I need to sleep, damn it!" 15 seconds of silence was abruptly interrupted by what sounded like a bull running full speed at my room. Then my door had 3 very aggressive slamming knocks, one right after the other. It was so loud, my dad woke up and came to check on me. My stomach started to turn, and I suddenly felt like I had to use the toilet. I was frozen in bed when I heard my dad call out to me, "You okay, buddy?" from his bedroom. I mustered up the courage to head out to the hallway, and as I got up, I could tell something was not right. I was shaking like a leaf, and my bowels were trying to evacuate as I was walking. I ran as fast as I could to the toilet, but it didn't help. There was a trail from about halfway between my bedroom to the toilet, and my poor dad, worried about my safety, followed me into the bathroom to figure out what the hell just happened. I explained everything, crying on the toilet, making a total mess of myself in the house. I was embarrassed and terrified, and after this, my dad told me, "If you ever feel uncomfortable, you can come sleep in my room. Nothing can bother you if I'm around." So it's like the spirit almost like made him sick. It like ran at him and then like made him sick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The final straw came a week later. My dad had been dating a woman for over a year, and she'd been staying with us more and more. One of the nights she stayed over, they had a very minor fight right before bed. I think it was something about cleaning or chores. What's that like? Anyways, they both went to bed grumpy about it. Right around the magic 2 to 3 a.m. mark, his girlfriend got yanked out of bed by her ankle, dragged out of the bedroom, and down the hallway.
Great.
By her account, she woke up after she was on the floor and felt someone pulling on her leg, and it took her a while to realize what exactly was happening. She started shrieking, and whenever it was, let go. She ran back into the bedroom and turned the lights on, explained the whole thing to my dad. He sent me off to an aunt's house and stayed in the house alone for a few months while looking for another place to go. He figured it would be safer without me there. During the packing and moving out of the house, my dad had some friends swing by to keep him company while he packed. Almost everyone who came by to help mentioned that they saw a small white dog walking around right when they entered the house. That place was haunted as fuck, and I still think about it from time to time. I wonder if the people who live there now deal with the same stuff or if it's calmed down at all. And then it says, bonus extra story. My dad's girlfriend had bought a yoga ball to the house, and as a rambunctious 8-year-old, I wanted to play with it all the time. She told me I could play with it, but I have to be careful, so we lightly would toss it back and forth down the hallway. After a minute or two, I toss the ball, and it freezes midair before making its way to her.
Whoa.
And comes right back to me. So like something caught it and threw it back.
Whoa.
She was horrified, and I was too young to fully realize what had happened, but she didn't want to freak out her boyfriend's 8-year-old son. Mm-hmm. So she quickly just said she didn't want to play anymore, and we went and did something else. That's scarier than the other stories.
Yeah, I would agree. And they called that just a bonus story.
Yes.
That is...
Fucking God. Horrid.
Yeah. Because that's like something is following them around, like just hanging out with them as they're living life. That is weird.
I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this next story is from Snoo Hamsters 3-6. Nice. They say, I've seen enough things that I no longer get scared, but I will share 3 things. The most recent was within the last 5 months. This is about a year ago. A friend of 20 plus years passed away last September. He was a heavy smoker and collector. A few weeks after he moved on, my home would smell like wet cigarette butts in an ashtray and boxed books. This went on for about a week, and I wasn't the only one who could smell it. I drove to visit my grandmother, whose house is notoriously haunted. Everyone has seen or heard something there after my mother passed away. As my grandmother and I were talking in the living room, I saw this thing, which I just dismissed as eye fatigue from driving a bunch of hours to get there, floating down a hallway towards the living room. It was transparent as a jellyfish and was the size of a standard can of paint. I watched it slowly move towards us and ignored it until it started darting in and out of the entryway into the kitchen. At that point, I got up briskly and walked outside, leaving my grandmother mid-sentence. She followed me outside, and I told her what happened. She said there was nothing in the house that could hurt me, to which I said, but it can make a person hurt themselves. Which I hate. Like, I guess it made them feel really bad. We eventually went back inside, but I sat in a different chair so I couldn't see down the hallway anymore. A year before that, my daughter, who was a little over 2 years old, and I went to visit. As we were leaving, I asked if she had a nice time, and she said, yes, but who's the other lady? I tried getting a description from her, but she could tell in my voice something was wrong and told me she didn't want to talk about it anymore. I tried again, and she said I don't want to talk about it. I go, okay, little 2-year-old. We drove in silence until she fell asleep in her car seat. I called my grandmother after we had gotten home, and we talked about it for a while. Okay, fourth thing, actually. A relative passed away last year, and I stayed 3 days at the house, sleeping in the living room. The first night, someone kept pulling on the bedding. It went on for a while and stopped once I just ignored it.
How can you ignore it?
I don't know. I cannot relate.
No. I'd be out of there.
Out of there. Okay, 2 more. This is from Spooky Faye. And this is a story from their husband. He was home alone after school one day, probably about 11 or 12 years old at the time, and was playing video games in the basement in South Dakota when something hit him in the back of the head. He turned around and found a crumpled piece of paper behind him. He thought it was someone who had come home early trying to pull a prank on him, but he went through the house and didn't see anyone. Then he realized he would have heard the alarm system beep if someone had come in, and lo and behold, the alarm system was still set. It freaked him out to the point that he ran across the street to a neighbor's house until someone came home. He'd always felt uncomfortable in that basement and never really went down there much after that, especially not alone.
Don't blame him.
Something just hitting you in the back of the head, just like crumpled up paper.
Yeah.
I would go ballistic. I would go fucking ballistic.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Go psycho. Okay. Last one. This is from the JC3. True story I experienced as a kid. When I was about 11 years old, I had a bedroom downstairs at my parents' house. And one morning, I woke up early. It was still dark enough that I couldn't clearly see my room, but early enough that I could see the sun creeping in through my window. Anyway, I woke up that morning to a figure in my doorway that looked like they were wearing a white dressing gown, just standing there. At the time, I thought it was just my mom about to wake me up for school. Confused, I asked, "What are you doing, Mom?" Without a reply, this figure seemed to just back out of my room and go down the hallway. So I got out of bed and walked to my door, but I couldn't see anyone in the hallway. Just to the right, outside my room, was the downstairs bathroom. To the left, the stairs upstairs. Ahead, a hallway to the rumpus room with the door to under the house. They say rumpus room a couple times and it cracks me up. Quick look up the stairs and in the bathroom, I didn't see my mom, so back to bed I went. Later that morning, I went upstairs for breakfast and to get ready for school. At breakfast, I asked my mom what she was doing downstairs earlier, and she replied saying she hadn't been downstairs at all this morning. After arguing with her about how I knew it was her because I saw her in her dressing gown, she promised me that she had not been downstairs at all. I went downstairs before I went to school and walked into the rumpus room to see the door under the house was wide open. The scary part of it all is that my parents had put one of those locking latches on the door because during windy nights, the wind would blow it open. The door lock was still on the latch and locked, so it should have been impossible for that door to have been opened. For a long time after that, I'd refused to walk near that door and often asked my mother to come check the door before I went to bed to make sure it was shut, locked, and couldn't be opened. My parents tried to tell me I was probably dreaming, but I know I was awake and convinced about this figure standing in my doorway. That one really scares me. Could that have been a person? Or is it a ghost? But then the white dressing gown would have been all dirty. Oh, right. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah. I feel like it's way worse if it's a person, a real person.
I know. But I don't like that, did the ghost want him to, go in there? I don't...
Right. Yeah. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Like it at all.
No.
Yeah.
So anywho, your turn.
Anyway, okay, let me get it. And that one actually is like very similar to one that I chose.
Excellent.
But maybe more likely a real person. But we'll see.
I don't know if that's better.
No, it's really short. It's 2 sentences. So this is from beginning section 30. And it said, the house I grew up in had a cellar door in the laundry room. One night, someone or something was trying to push it open. My mom stepped on the door and told us to run out to the car.
Oh, what?
The next day, we came back to the house and there was a big footprint beside my bed. So, that may not be paranormal, but it was on a scary paranormal thing on BuzzFeed.
I hate that.
Yeah. I don't like it.
It's also like, it's frustrating when you're watching like scary movies and the parents don't believe the kids, but it's scarier when they do. Like when not even believe the kids, but they feel it themselves and they're like, go to the car, like get out of the house.
That is so scary.
I hate.
Yeah. Because you look to them to be the calm ones that are like, oh, it was just
the
a
rational
nightmare.
ones. Yeah.
Whatever. But not in that case.
Hate
scary. Okay. Then let's see. This one is from Kevin Jazz, Jasc. He wrote, I'm from India and I work in LA as a software developer. One night around 2 a.m., I got a phone call. At first, I let it ring, but then I noticed the call was coming from India. I had changed my number the week prior and hadn't given the new number to anyone other than people in LA. So I ended up taking the call, and there was no one on the line, so I hung up. Fast forward 5 months, I'm in India visiting my family, and I get a call from the exact same number that called me when I was in LA. I answered, and in the creepiest voice I've ever heard, a lady said, Bagho Jaldi, which I'm sure I'm saying wrong, which is Hindi for run as fast as you can. I know.
Always scared Pink. Sorry, buddy.
I'm scared too. And yeah, they just said to this day I get goosebumps thinking about it. So, but can you imagine? I would have like destroyed my phone. Run
as fast as you can. Oh my god.
Throw it away. So scary.
But like in the middle of the night too, like where are you supposed to go?
I know. Yeah. Scary. No thank you.
Fuck, no thank you. I like how yours is so polite. You're like, no thank you. I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah. That's, who knows how most would respond.
God. Hate it.
What do they prefer? But yeah. Okay. Then a few more shorties. So it's from Haley 43F22EB09.
God.
Don't know how they remember that one.
Seriously.
But she said, one day I was watching TV while my puppy was sleeping in his cage beside me. After a short nap, I woke up to the dog barking and noticed my stepmother's rocking chair was intensely rocking back and forth. So much so that the bag sitting on the chair fell off. My stepmom had always told me that a rocking chair rocking by itself means that someone is going to die. My grandmother passed away the next morning. If that isn't a supernatural occurrence, I don't know what is. Agreed. That is supernatural.
That's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Also, why does that mean that? Like, is it death in there?
I don't know. And I had never heard that before.
Me neither. I feel like it's just like scary.
Right. That could be an interesting episode of like, I don't know
like what beliefs like that.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah. If we could find something like, my mom always told me that when the water ran cold,
right,
there was a ghost beside you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
or
dumb.
like when you get a chill, it's someone walking over your grave.
Right. Yes.
I like that though. That's a good idea. Yeah. There are probably so many weird ones that people have made up.
Yes. I've heard like white butterflies or white moths are spirits visiting you.
Oh.
Yeah. We could see what we can find.
Well, and they're even the like 27 Club with the white lighters. They're even ones like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could be interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yes. Okay. 3 more. So this from Sin Raka. They say, I woke up with a start at 3:21 a.m. to a small ball of light passing through my bathroom door, creaking as if someone had opened it. It hung there for a few seconds, then slowly turned and vanished into my closet. At 4:32, after I'd finally calmed down enough to try to fall back asleep, every light in my apartment turned on at once. The overhead light, the closet, my nightstand lamp, the computer desk, kitchen above the sink. I sat bolt upright, heard a low-pitched but squeaky giggle. Then all the lights went out. That's
the scariest story I've ever heard. That's the scariest story I've ever heard. That's horrid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How dare you? That's horrifying. I would shit myself. I would just immediately, my bowels would release.
Yeah. Watery bowels.
Watery bowels. My God.
I know. It's a good one. And that definitely seems like a poltergeist to me.
Yeah, I'll say. Yeah. The giggle. Like, that's not a kid. That's a demon pretending to be a kid.
Yeah, and thinking it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, to torment you.
No.
Hate. Okay, proceed.
Yeah, this one's scary too, but maybe not as scary. And then the last one is just weird. So this is from Riften Zero. They say, in the early 2000s, I lived in a 100-plus-year-old apartment. I'd always hear strange noises like someone coming up the stairs, stopping at the top, then dead silence, and no one was ever there. My mother kept saying that she felt odd about her bedroom and the hallway leading to it, so I put up a webcam in the hallway with motion alert that would make an audible alert through my PC speakers. Weeks went by and there was nothing. Then, one day, when I was there alone, it went off. I looked at my monitor and saw a tall, dark mass in the doorway to my mother's bedroom. My room was off the same hallway, so I tiptoed over, cracked my door open, and I saw it with my own eyes.
No! That's so brave, but no.
I know. Yeah. These people are way better than us.
I'd be like, well, I guess I'll jump out the window.
Or never leave again. I'm just like, this is my life now.
This is my life now. I'm locked in my room. Here's the pee corner.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm establishing a pee corner.
I was just going to say that. Gross. But yeah, they saw it. Tall, solid, dark mass. It looked to be hovering about a foot off the floor. It wasn't human-shaped exactly, just like a lean, tall shape of darkness. It felt like 10 minutes passed while I was staring at it, but it was really only a few seconds. It moved quickly to the right and out of view. I gathered my guts, walked to the door, and looked into the room.
I gathered my guts. I love that.
That's a good way to put it.
Take note, Sarah J. Maas. I gathered my guts.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I can't wait.
I know.
Okay, but they gathered their guts, looked into the room where the thing had gone, and there was nothing there. I'll never forget the experience, they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never.
I imagine you wouldn't.
Yeah. I probably won't either, so.
No. Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much. Yeah. We won't either.
Exactly.
God damn.
Yep. Okay, then this last one is very short, and I actually don't have the username, so I'm sorry about that. But
thanks a lot, plagiarism.
I know. We're going to get copyright infringement. Hopefully they don't see this. But, okay, they wrote, the night before my birthday in 1996, I dreamed that I was walking around at the peak of Mount Everest. It was snowing hard, but I felt comfortable. I saw a tent. To announce my presence, I started singing. The two men inside the tent were
Weird
frightened.
instinct.
I know. Total like dream thing.
Yeah.
Where you're running
You're
in
like,
slow motion.
hey!
Yeah, exactly.
I'm here outside your tent on Mount Everest.
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
It's just me.
Don't be scared.
A
It's
songbird.
me.
Yep. And
God.
even weirder, the song they chose was called Goober Peas, which I had never heard of. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't either. No.
Okay. Apparently it's an American Civil War song. And I listened to it earlier. It was weird. But anyway, the two men inside the tent were frightened, and I tried to calm them with my song, blah, blah, blah. A few years later, I read about the Everest disaster in which mountaineers had to pitch a tent too high up on Everest and died there. That happened the night before my birthday in 1996. I can't explain it, but
she
I hope
fucking
I
astral
them.
Projected.
Yeah. And she was comforting them with a Civil War song, which is really strange, but...
Like, which side of the Civil War?
Unfortunately, the wrong one.
Yeah,
I
that's
looked
not
it up
great.
as the wrong one. Yeah.
I hope neither of them were black men. Because that would be terrifying in your final moments.
Oh my god, yeah. I hope not.
Yeah, she's like, I'll soothe them with my racist song.
Yeah. It was like, I think the lyrics were more about like the militia itself, and thankfully not about like the
slavery
for the war. Yes.
The slavery. Yeah.
The slavery of it all.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. That's crazy.
Yeah. Very strange.
Crazy song choice, but crazier story.
Yes, agreed. I would love to know why that's the song that they were singing.
Yeah, and like if they, I wonder if those men like kept journals and like said anything about hearing a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be really strange.
It's bizarre. Very bizarre.
Yep.
Okay, should we get on to the final?
Yes.
Whatever.
Final finale.
Fuck.
The final story.
You guys, I'm on a little medication right now. It's making me a little bit loopy. So forgive me, master. Okay. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to be talking about the Mackenzie Poltergeist. We've never talked about this, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And it's so funny because I was like reading about it, and my mom was just in Edinburgh in Scotland, and she talked about this little statue that she saw, and I'll get into it in a second. And it's like right there. It's like right outside of this place. So the Mackenzie Poltergeist is a widely reputed violent entity that haunts the Black Mausoleum of Sir George or Bloody Mackenzie in Edinburgh's Greyfriars Kirkyard. Wow, Kirkland. not Costco. Not related to Costco. Okay, Edinburgh's Greyfriars Kirkyard. Okay, so the connection to my mom's trip is she was out in Edinburgh, like in like the old town, which I think the whole thing's the old town. But anyway, she was saying that there's this statue of this little dog. And I think he's a Scottie or something. He's some kind of like terrier, I assume a Scottie in Scotland. But he's called Greyfriars Bobby. And there's a rumor that rubbing his little snoot brings you good luck. And so his little snoot is like shiny gold because of everyone's like rubbed it off. So one of the articles I came across was like in parentheses made a quick reference to Greyfriars Bobby and said like, stop rubbing his nose, you're ruining the statue. It doesn't bring good luck. So I was like, whatever, yes it does. But anyway, I just thought that was so funny. Okay, so I chose, instead of like putting together my own summary, I came across this person, Icy Sedgwick. They put together a very entertaining kind of retelling of everything, and it gives like a little bit of the history and all of that. And then I have a little treat at the end. This was written October 30th, 2021, so just in time for Halloween. And it's titled Meet the Dreaded Mackenzie Poltergeist of Greyfriars Kirkyard. It's a cold night in 1998, the type Edinburgh specializes in, when the frigid air seems to work its way into the very marrow of your bones. A homeless man seeks shelter for the night. He finds himself in Greyfriars Kirkyard. Aha! There's a building up ahead. The man tries the door, but it's locked. But wait, what's that? He finds a hole near the back of the mausoleum. Who knows what it's for, but at least it'll get him inside and under a roof. He slips inside and finds himself in the mausoleum. A staircase takes him down to the crypt. He finds the coffins of the Mackenzie family. Perhaps there are valuables in the caskets. Before he can find out, a hole opens in the floor, and he drops into a chamber below filled with centuries-old bones. Panic-stricken in the dark, the man somehow manages to clamber out of the burial pit. The legend says he flees the mausoleum in fright, encountering a local dog walker in the process. Except it isn't just the homeless man who leaves the mausoleum that night. According to the story, one of Edinburgh's most vicious poltergeists begins to walk abroad as well. So let's meet the Mackenzie Poltergeist. So before we go on here, there are a few different accounts of the homeless man's story. It is confirmed that a homeless person broke into the mausoleum. Some of the reports say that in trying to, just out of curiosity, open one of the crypts, the shift of the weight broke through the floor and he went tumbling into the bottom. But that did happen. He fell into this like ancient crypt, which would be so fucking scary.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been in there, but it would have been so scary.
Yeah. Really.
Okay. So who was George Mackenzie? So he was also known as Bloody Mackenzie. He was a judge and Lord Advocate in the 17th century. But before we can go into who he was, we also need a little bit of backstory. So we're going to talk a little bit about religious reforms, as exciting as that sounds.
Okay.
So King James VI had argued that the king was the head of the church. The Church of Scotland argued that only God could be the head of the church. This caused problems because James wanted a united church now that he ruled over both England and Scotland. It still wasn't resolved by the time King Charles I came to the throne in 1624, and thanks to his fervent belief in the divine right of kings, he ignored the wishes of the Scottish Church. He introduced the Common Book of Prayer in 1637 and outlawed other forms of worship. Understandably, this led to riots and protests in Scotland. Charles branded anyone opposing the prayer book as a traitor, and his opponents decided to create a national covenant so that it was Scotland opposing Charles, not individuals. This was signed on February 28th, 1638, and those who signed it became known as the Covenanters. Very creative name. This declared their pledge that Scotland was loyal to the king, but it would remain a Presbyterian country. The covenant was even sanctioned by the Scottish Parliament in 1640, and the First English Civil War began 2 years later, with the Covenanters supporting the parliamentarians to depose Charles. So lots of religious conflict and therefore political conflict. So back to Mackenzie. Mackenzie began his career defending Covenanters and even got the Marquis of Argyll acquitted from a charge of treason. But he'd only taken on these defense cases to make a name for himself. Once he was established, he switched sides, defending the king and the Scottish Church. This support paid off because he then became the king's advocate for Charles II in Scotland in 1677. So he then went after the people he used to defend, the Covenanters, who were now considered outlaws. After the Battle of Bothwell Bridge in 1679, Mackenzie imprisoned 1,200 of them in Greyfriars Kirkyard, in the area now known as the Covenanters' Prison. At the time, it was an open area at the southern end of the kirkyard, enclosed by the town wall. They were left in this outdoor area with no food, no water, no shelter, and hundreds of people died. Guards mistreated them. A lot of their heads ended up on spikes along the gate. And by the end of 1679, only 48 Covenanters remained.
Wow.
Out of 1,200.
Yeah.
Like, awful. Like, truly evil.
Yeah.
Okay. Mackenzie actually fell foul of his own enthusiasm when William of Orange came to the throne. He gave religious control back to the Presbyterians, the group Mackenzie persecuted with such relish. Mackenzie fled Scotland for England. You better run. Run as fast as you can.
Oh, God.
Where he died in 1691. In a twist of irony, he was buried in Greyfriars, a mere stone's throw from the Covenanters' prison. So he is right back in where he caused all of the havoc and pain and death that he caused. A couple of centuries ago, John Hayes, a failed criminal, apparently hid from the law in the Black Mausoleum. He spent 6 months there, sneaking out to scavenge whenever possible. When the police finally caught him, he'd gone mad. He insisted that the coffins in the mausoleum moved every night, and apparently he could hear Mackenzie scraping inside his coffin.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
The homeless man also was not the only person to end up in the mausoleum more recently. On June 30th, 2003, 2 teenagers forced open the doors and desecrated an unidentified male corpse. Jesus.
Why?
One of them cut off its head and used it like a glove puppet.
Why? That is
People
sick.
are horrid.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you believe the reports that grew up around the story, they supposedly drank wine from the skull as well.
Ew. No.
Yeah.
I hope
the boys who were 15 and 17 caused around 10,000 pounds worth of damage. A ghost tour guide challenged the boys after seeing them carrying something in a blanket, and the guide caught the police, who caught one of the boys who returned to the graveyard with a girl who didn't believe him. So a ghost tour guide fucking caught him, which is the best. Mm-hmm. So authorities then tried both boys under violation of sepulcher law, Sepulcher, sepulcher. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. Anyway, it's a law around grave robbing.
Okay.
So the mausoleum became infamous after these 2 events. So between the homeless man, it's actually 3. The homeless man, first the criminal who was there, who went crazy in there, then the homeless man who dropped into the crypt, and then these 2 boys. So the doors remain locked even now, and this author went right up to them on a trip to Edinburgh in 2012. It was during the day, although some experiences have been daytime encounters, and nothing happened to me personally, but that means very little when you look at how much activity has been recorded. So here on to the actual poltergeist activity. Since 1999, at least 140 people have collapsed. Just inexplicably collapsed. Wow. 350 documented attacks are on record.
Oh my God.
This is truly one of the most well-documented poltergeists in terms of the volume, but also the viciousness. It is very unusual. We've talked about this a lot, for spirits to hurt someone in a way that is provable, but also there's the argument of ghosts can't kill you. It's how do you know? Because if a ghost has killed someone, they're dead. Right. There's no way to prove that. It could look like a heart attack, but maybe it wasn't. Yeah. So, or maybe it was caused by something else. So, okay, within a week of the homeless man's incursion into the tomb, a woman felt herself blown back by the mausoleum by an icy blast of air. Jan Andrew Henderson even started the City of the Dead tour company to both investigate the sightings and speak to witnesses. And I went through their site and I almost used their description because they have now written books about it. This is a major tourist attraction in addition to a real historical site. The tour takes in the whole of Greyfriars Kirkyard, including the normally locked Covenanters prison. So they also get special access into this area. Visitors record hot and cold spots, inexplicable bruises, scratches, or being pushed by an unseen presence. They report having hair pulled and even pulled out, or limbs being grabbed. One woman was found unconscious nearby with bruises around her neck.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Too far.
Yeah. Some people have claimed that an evil presence have followed them home to continue tormenting them elsewhere. The spiritualist medium Colin Grant attempted to lay ghosts to rest in the Kirkyard in 2000. A few weeks later, he died of a heart attack.
Oh. What is happening in this place?
Many attribute this to the Mackenzie Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Dead animals often turn up near the mausoleum with no obvious cause of death. People see, it just goes on and on. Like, people see white figures, hear knocking noises from beneath the ground.
Perfect. Gross.
Terrifying, yeah. Strange fires break out in the houses surrounding the Kirkyard, including that of Henderson, who lost his physical notes about the poltergeist in a house fire.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Weird.
Luckily, he had digital backup elsewhere, but these notes led to the book he wrote about the phenomena called The Ghost That Haunted Itself. Which is such a dumb title, but that's another thing. Tales of strange sightings in the Kirkyard itself abound. Figures flitting between headstones, while spectral white birds appear in the air. It's difficult to link these manifestations with the poltergeist, obviously. There's even a theory that the poltergeist is also responsible for paranormal activity in the Southbridge vaults, which is like another area. But again, it's a difficult link to make. So the theories. How do we explain the lack of stories about hauntings before 1998? Because remember, the homeless man leaving is what seemingly triggered all of this to begin. But you have to remember the criminal who was hiding in there for 6 months, he went mad inside the mausoleum saying that there were spirits inside. So it's almost like something he did, like, released the poltergeist into the surrounding area. So one theory is that Mackenzie lay relatively dormant until he was disturbed by the homeless man. Now awake and presumably none too pleased that he's awake, he haunts the mausoleum and surrounding area. Surprisingly, records do show that in the 19th century, local children believed Mackenzie was restless in his tomb. They'd run up to the mausoleum at night and yell, "Bloody Mackenzie, come out if you dare! Lift the sneck and draw the bar!" through the keyhole. And remember the criminal who hid in the mausoleum, insisting Mackenzie still moved around in his coffin. So there is some precedent to the idea of the Mackenzie poltergeist before 1999. A couple other, theories. Willie Telford, a tour guide in the area, thinks that Mackenzie lurks in the area due to his conscience. Perhaps he feels remorse for the treatment of the Covenanters. This could certainly explain why activity seems to center around a tomb in the Covenanters' prison, not the Mackenzie mausoleum itself. Another theory involves the hysterical energy on the night in 1998, which has been fed by so many visitors to the site. In this explanation, the continuing hysteria, that's why I said theoria, it's like right below it on the page. Okay, the continuing hysteria keeps the manifestation going. So this like energy exchange. When the author did a City of the Dead tour in December 2016, the tour guide offered pheromones as a possible example. So say you gather a party of already anxious people into a confined space, like the Covenanters' prison. The pheromones excreted by the group can then influence each other, thus spreading mass panic. So more of like a physiological explanation. Others think that the pheromones released by those imprisoned in the Covenanters' prison have somehow imprinted on the area. So every time visitors go by for a tour, the pheromones sort of reactivate and you experience this poltergeist activity. So that's more of like an energetic imprint or leave behind. The author says like their problem with this idea is that they're not sure you could reactivate pheromones after 300 years. Like, that's such a long time. Not to mention the fact that the disturbed grave was yards away from the Covenanters' prison. So, a lot of different theories attempt to explain the Mackenzie poltergeist, mass hysteria, pheromones, overactive imaginations, electromagnetic radiation from nearby machinery, even geology all play a role. Any of these explanations or all of them could be correct, but it's very difficult to argue with the sheer volume of reports in a relatively short time, really like the last 20 something years. And when this was written, about 20 years. And furthermore, given the number of reports that involve physical assaults, it's hard to work out how geology can cause scratches to erupt all over a person's body. And like I said, like I breezed over like the list, like pushing, hair pulling, hair being pulled out, scratching, bruising, like these also range in severity. So some of them are like, oh, I had like a little bruise on my hip, and others are like, my leg from hip to ankle was black. You know, it's like some of these reports are like really serious.
Yeah.
So anyway, of course, there's another possibility, which is that the Mackenzie Poltergeist really does roam the grounds of Greyfriars. That's what I'm going with too. So the last little thing I have for you is a story about the Mackenzie Poltergeist.
Okay.
And it is it real? Is it just a story? I'll let you decide.
We'll find out.
So they say an old friend of mine from high school goes to college in Europe, and he went to Scotland for a few weeks last month. We kind of fell out of touch, but his parents are still really close. So it wasn't much of a surprise to find out that they had forwarded my mom a few emails from his stay in Edinburgh. His parents are the proud and overbearing type, but still, I felt like I shouldn't have read those private family emails. I mean, if he wanted to tell anyone about his trip, what was stopping him from CCing a few more people? Anyway, the point is that I decided to talk to him, half out of weird guilt from reading his no longer private emails, and half out of curiosity about his life. I'm sure you guys know what it's like to watch friends drift away after high school. It sucks. And as soon as we started talking, something seemed a bit weird about him, but I just figured he had changed a lot since I last spoke to him. Only after recent events did I start piecing things together, and I feel the need to share it with someone and hear what you guys think. Names have been changed, but nothing else. From Peter Brindley to Sarah Brindley, October 15, 2012. Subject, day 1 in Edinburgh. Hi, Mom and Dad. I wanted to send you guys a few photos now since I don't really have much time to write anything substantial. In short, Edinburgh is great so far. Today we're checking out the universities and a few museums, I think. Talk to you soon, Pete. And attached are a couple images of pretty much like castles and like a little walkway of downtown Edinburgh. From Peter Brindley to Sarah and Thomas Brindley, October 16, 2012. Subject, time for an actual update. Hi again. Tonight we took a tour of haunted Edinburgh. At the beginning, I couldn't help think of those kitschy tours we used to take in the city when Jake and I were kids around Halloween. Our guide was this super theatrical guy. Those are the best. Complete with practiced evil cackle, all black getup, and sort of creeping way of moving around. Apparently he toned down his routine for the more squeamish people in our group, but I wonder how different it really was. A lot of people in the group looking for scares were really disappointed. Looking back, I guess it was more of a history lesson with some dark humor than anything else. It was really weird to be treated like a tourist while being given a glimpse at the real Scotland. To listen to our guide crack torture jokes one minute and then suddenly change to a somber tone as he tells us to always question the official historical accounts. Not to say it wasn't interesting. I always thought Scotland had a violent history. I mean, at least from the movies I've seen. But the actual facts are insane. There were massive religious persecutions in the city in the 1600s, and people were skinned alive in courtyards. Nobles' houses were painted with a mixture of human blood and hair. Children were killed right in front of their parents. Awful things like that. The graveyard we visited had so many dead buried that bone fragments break through the ground when it rains. Yeah. Our guide ended the tour in a gated-off area where those religious victims were imprisoned and murdered, and he took us inside this place called the Black Mausoleum. So he must have been from the City of Dead tour. Supposedly, it's the home of the Mackenzie Poltergeist, which has attacked hundreds of people, according to our guide. I'll be honest, I bought into his act for a bit, huddled up with everyone in that dark, cold room. That is, until this guy in a dumb Halloween costume popped out behind our guide screaming like an idiot. The reason behind it being that the poltergeist could sense the physical manifestation of fear or something stupid like that. At that point, I was over the tour, and so were a few others. Something brushed my arm, but nobody would admit to it. After the tour, we all headed to a pub for dinner and a few drinks. I'm supposed to check for bruises or cuts in the morning, so I'll keep you posted if I suddenly become the victim of a haunting. Ha ha. Anyway, it's late and I've got an early start tomorrow. Hope everything's good back home. Pete. And he attaches 2 images, one of the silly guide in front of the Black Mausoleum, and he's like doing a creepy pose in his like silly little outfit, and the other's like of the outside of Greyfriars Kirkyard, like looking in through the stone gate, which I think used to be like the town wall. From Andrew Bastian to Peter Brindley, October 17. Pete, I should be finding out about your life from you, not from forwarded emails from your parents. I'm bummed at how little we talk nowadays, but whatever. Tell me about Scotland, dude. Drew. From Peter Brindley to Andrew Bastian, October 18. Hey man, blech, I feel like a bad friend. Though it's not like you send me emails all the time either. Whatever, I'll keep you in the loop for the rest of the trip. I hate to let you down, but there's nothing much to report. Just museums and tours and lectures, crap like that. At night, I usually go to pubs with my friends. Yesterday, I went back to the graveyard during my free time. It had just rained, so I wanted to see if I could find any bone pieces. God, that makes me sound like such a freak, lol. Before you judge me too hard, I didn't take any. It's illegal anyways, though I did find a few. There were too many people around and I felt weird about it. I wanted to see that mausoleum during the day, but I got yelled at by some guard for trying the gate. I felt like such an obnoxious tourist. Anyway, I really wish I could go back there by myself just to see what the big deal is. Okay, lost track of time. Gotta head out for a group dinner. Pete. P.S. Let me know if you want any souvenirs. From Pete to Andrew, October 19. I don't want my parents freaking out about nothing, so this email stays between us, okay? I woke up this morning because my arm was hurting so bad, and this is what I found. And it's his arm covered in, like, bruises and scratches. From Andrew to Pete, October 19. LOL, you sure all those Scottish pubs can't explain that? From Pete to Andrew, the 19th. Very funny, I would have noticed something like this. It burns, dude. You have no idea. From Andrew to Pete, October 19th. Okay. Just leave it alone and tell somebody about it if it still hurts tomorrow. So what have you guys been doing there? From Pete to Andrew, the 20th. Weird dreams is the subject. Last night I kept having these fucking weird dreams, man. I was in this giant crypt or something, going down these stone stairways, stopping on every floor. Each would have a different scene. In one, a bunch of people from my group were laying down on the ground, all stiff with their arms at their sides. Out of nowhere, cold water fell from the ceiling. Then 2 or 3 people snapped up into place. It sounded as if they literally had to snap their backs in order to sit up. And then they just stared at me. On one floor, there was just a TV in the middle of all the darkness, and my body was on the screen, dragged around the walls and the floors of this empty white room. And my body left this dark trail wherever it went until the whole screen was black. Right before I woke up, I was on a floor full of shadows that weren't attached to anything, and I kept hearing this whispering all around, but I couldn't make out the words. You know how hard it is to scare me, but right now I'm getting cold just thinking about it. Do you think there actually might be something going on here with that fucking graveyard? From Andrew to Pete, the 20th. Subject, nope. Jesus, dude, you're freaking yourself out. Go do something fun and take your mind off of it. From Andrew to Pete. Still alive? My mom says your parents haven't heard from you in days. Call them or email them or something. They're getting worried and I'm getting tired of telling them I have no idea what's going on. From Pete to Andrew. It's just an image attachment. And it looks like the side of like a stone wall. Unclear if it's like the inside of a building or the outside of a building. From Andrew to Pete, subject, what the fuck? What is that supposed to be? Have you talked to your parents yet? So then he says, I never got a reply. My mom showed me the following email a few days later. From Sarah Brindley to Claire Bastian, subject, forwarded, heading to the Highlands. And then she said, I'm going to kill him for making us worry like that. So then the forwarded message. Hi, Mom and Dad. The internet's been terrible here, so that's why I haven't been able to send any more updates. I wish I could send more pictures, but my camera stopped working last Thursday. That thing was so old. Anyways, we're heading into the Highlands for a few days, then back to school finally. There won't be any internet there, so I'll just call you when I'm back home. So then it's back to Andrew, the author. Why would he lie like that? Because he lied about the camera. He sent him that photo. I kept quiet about our conversation since I thought he was just being an asshole. He deleted his Facebook, stopped replying to my emails, so I never found out what that last message was all about. The reason I made this account and am posting this story now, a month later, is that over the Thanksgiving break, I saw Pete. He looked awful. Pale, skinny, growing a stubbly beard. He kept dodging my questions about his Scotland trip, and I've never seen him so cagey before. He kept saying I shouldn't have gone. I invited him to come hang out with me and some other guys from our old gang, but he said he needed to take care of some things before flying back to Europe on Sunday. And then in parentheses, he said I saw him on Black Friday. I grabbed his arm to make him stay and talk to me for a minute, and he reacted like I had stabbed him. He rolled up his sleeve and clutched his wrist, and then I saw the mark on his arm from the photo he sent me on October 19th. It was now black and had spread out like an ink blot or something. I might have imagined it, but I could have sworn it was hot to the touch. Anyway, we were making a scene, and before I could even apologize or ask about the mark, he ran off. That encounter put me in a really shitty mood, but I managed to forget about it when I went out with my friends later that night. I don't really dream much, so I tend to remember the dreams I do have. And that night, I dreamt I was running my hands along an old stone wall. It was rough and cold, what you'd expect, I suppose. But it gradually became warmer and warmer until my hands began to smoke and sizzle. I woke up to find my cell phone ringing. It was my dad. He said, "Hey, I don't really know how to say this, but I've got some bad news. A fire broke out in Pete's bedroom in the middle of the night and spread to the rest of his parents' house. Even if he survives without major injuries, he won't be flying back to Europe anytime soon." As I listened to my dad fumble over the details of the accident, I looked at my free hand. I saw a reddish mark on my palm, beginning at the base of my thumb and reaching toward my middle finger, about a fourth of the way up. 2 nights have passed since then, and I've been losing sleep, fucking up on the job, falling behind in school because I can't even hold a pen, all because of this burning mark on my hand. I still haven't heard from Pete, and to be honest, I hope I never do. I'm not telling you guys to believe in ghosts or anything like that, but maybe just don't go wandering in places you don't fucking belong. Yeah. What's wrong with Pete?
I know. So he had that bruise or whatever it was for
like a
over
mark.
a month.
Yeah. And then it started turning black.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Spooky.
Wait, is that real? Where did that come from? Reddit?
It's from Reddit. So
Okay.
Maybe not. I mean,
okay.
That's for you guys to decide.
What we're supposed to do.
Yeah, it felt a little story like, but it was good and honestly believable. There's so many details that are so true to what the tours are actually like and what you get to see and all of that.
Yep. Yeah.
And what people have reported.
Yeah.
And also like the fire breaking out when
I know.
That's a common thing that happens around there.
Yeah.
Spooky ooky.
I like it.
I like it too.
Very scary.
Very scary. Okay, it's your turn.
Okay. I hope I can do this justice because there's a lot to it, and I could probably do like a full episode on it, but this is going to be a high level overview. A
truncated version.
Yes. Of the Luxor Hotel, which is in Las Vegas. Also, we might get interrupted, just so you know.
That's okay.
Okay. The Luxor is a hotel. It was built in 1993 on the Las Vegas Strip. And its whole shtick is that it looks like an Egyptian pyramid. It has like a giant sphinx at the door. They used to have like a Nile River inside with, I think, actual Egyptian artifacts. I don't think they have that anymore.
What?
But it was like a whole thing. And
is it still around?
It is, yes.
Oh, okay.
And I stayed there once, like in the late 90s, when my dad had to go there for a business trip, and he took us along. I don't remember anything weird there, but it is apparently very haunted.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is sad. There are, as you can imagine, a lot of deaths that happen in Las Vegas hotel rooms because of the excess of what people are doing there. So a lot of suicide, and you can imagine why.
Yeah.
So the Luxor has a very high rate of suicides in the hotel. And then also, just to add insult to injury, in 2017, the deadliest mass shooting carried out by one gunman in our modern U.S. history occurred outside of the hotel,
Oh, that's
which
right.
I remember that so vividly.
Is it like a Jason Aldean concert or something?
Yeah, it was like a country festival, and he was shooting from the window of a hotel, like across the street from the Luxor. So all of that was happening right outside.
My friend's husband was there.
My God. That had to have been the scariest
thing
horrifying.
Ever. Yeah, had to like jump a fence, like literally like ran for their lives. It was horrifying.
Yeah. And just the sheer number of people that died is awful.
And that's on gun control, bitches.
Yeah, seriously.
We usually don't get political, but fuck that.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, I think people can guess our political affiliation.
Yeah, I would say.
But, yeah.
We live in California and Colorado. It's pretty clear.
Yep, we've hinted. But, yeah, so there's dark energy there. And there has been from the very beginning also.
Is this where the shooter shot from?
No, he was at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, which I think is across the street. So, right nearby, though.
Yeah.
But I originally saw this topic on Reddit because a lot of people have written in their stories there. So that's what I'm going to do, is just read some of theirs. The first guy, his username is SalesKnights1. He's a great writer, but he wrote too much. So I'm going to paraphrase for him.
Okay.
But he was there at the Luxor for a work event. And he had some weird things happen in his room. So he took the blankets off of the second queen bed that was in his 2-bed room. But he specifically remembers that he did not bring over the pillows because he just wanted the blankets. So then one day he goes out of his room because the fire alarm goes off. And when he comes back, those pillows that he specifically remembers not having moved are stacked like 3 high now because there's so many of them on his bed. And so he was like, why would this have happened? Was security going through people's rooms to look like for why the fire alarm was going off?
Yeah.
But why would they touch
And it wasn't
pillows?
like the cleaning crew because it was just the fire alarm.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. And then he has to rush off to his work event. He doesn't come back until 11 p.m. And something feels off. Like he says his alarm goes off in his brain. Something doesn't look right. And what it is that the curtains are wide open. And he knows that he didn't do that. So he's trying to explain it with like, maybe there's a draft. Like the AC was on really high because it's so hot in Vegas. Maybe it moved curtains, whatever. But still no explanation. And then he starts talking to people who are from Vegas and they're like, oh yeah, that place is so haunted. And so he starts thinking, okay, there might be something actually happening. But when he asks the staff, they're so trained, and I saw this on another site, to say, no one's ever said that. Oh my gosh. Like, you think someone might have been in your room, and it's like, they don't want
it. The gaslighting.
I know.
They don't want it to pick up steam.
Yes. So,
I feel like that's why we probably haven't heard of it until now.
Yeah, that's probably true. But yeah, apparently if you ask anyone that's from Vegas, they're like, yep, that's not where I would stay if I were going to stay in a hotel. But yeah, and there are some like repeat ghosts, specifically a blonde woman that people aren't really sure if maybe she's one of the ones that died there. And she likes to put her hands around people's throats.
Okay.
So, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
Oh, and I didn't even read this last sentence. Apparently it's getting demolished in 2026. So.
Oh, shit.
That's, I don't know why. But yeah.
Because it's haunted as fuck.
I guess maybe they're like, let's head this off.
Yeah.
But the first thing, I have a few little stories. One I wanted to mention was just kind of weird because it was from a ghost tour company that has the Luxor like as part of the tour. And they were saying that some people wonder if the fact that they were trying to be an Egyptian pyramid but didn't pay any attention to like actual details is causing some of the stuff that happens there. And specifically, apparently sphinxes are supposed to come in pairs, and there's only one at the Luxor. So what if things are like able to come in because it's not properly guarded? There's a sphinx.
I was just gonna say, I have a little sphinx.
A little sphinx.
He's hungry for dinner, so he's gonna bite me. Thanks to Sphinx.
We're so close, Sphinx, I promise. But yeah, that was one of the things. And then these are all comments.
That's interesting.
Yeah, on his post. This is from We Are Making a Scene. They said, the Luxor is the only place I can remember ever experiencing sleep paralysis.
Oh.
It was terrifying. And for some reason, I saw a cat in my room while it was happening.
Like the Sphinx.
Right. Somebody responded to that. They said, my cousin had sleep paralysis for the first time ever when we stayed at the Luxor.
That is so weird.
I hate it. Yeah. She said she thought I had gotten
I hate it.
in the middle of the night and was standing looking out the window. Then she woke a bit later and noticed I hadn't moved. I told her I definitely didn't do that, but she said there was a dark figure standing at the window, so she had to assume it was me. I told her I thought she must have had sleep paralysis, blah, blah. Somebody else said they had nightmares. Actually, a lot of people have had nightmares there, including dreams that feature cats. So that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then this is from
Fits with the Sphinx theory.
I know, it does. Puzzlehead Fox 2091 wrote, this hotel is where I got into an argument with the love of my life and we never saw each other again. She was complaining that shadow figures were following her leading up to the hotel room and that I wasn't protecting her enough.
Well, then you probably weren't.
I know. Yeah, do what she asks about the shadow figures.
Love of your life, my ass. Protect her.
Yeah, step up. They write, it was 1 a.m. when we checked in. I'll never forget that night because it's been 6 years and now we have both moved on, but something truly got into our heads that night that led to us splitting instantly. She took a flight out and I stayed. Mind you, this was very unlike us. We've argued plenty in the past and always got through them just fine. When I left the hotel, I took a picture and said, fuck you, out of anger. I remember feeling so much different on the drive home.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then just a few more things. So this is All Hail the Goddess. They said, when I stayed at the Luxor about 2 years ago, my room was pretty high up. I felt the most sickening, horrible feeling that I needed to throw myself off the edge when I was walking along the catwalk to the rooms. It was so compelling. I am not suicidal in any way. Compelled to jump off the catwalk, basically. Well, yeah. And then somebody commented on that and was like, that's the call of the void, basically.
Yeah.
That's a studied phenomenon that people have in dark places. Like,
yeah.
What if I just turned my wheel into traffic?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So,
all of these stories are just so, like, it's just like dark fucking energy.
Yes, extremely.
Interesting.
The final one is like actually ghosty seeming. It says, I was just staying there a couple weeks ago. My grandma was in one room and me and my mom were in the one next door. My grandma told us that one night she was certain she heard someone walking around in her room, and she heard the toilet flush by itself. We heard no noises of other rooms' toilets flushing while we were there, so it likely wasn't in the neighboring room. In the morning, there were dark footprints in her shower that were not there previously, and they included a picture. And they said, I also had severe nightmares when I was there, and it's very, very rare for me to dream at all. So,
God.
Yeah, something weird happening there.
Very weird. Very, very weird. I don't like that one bit.
So
okay, so we won't stay at the Luxor. I guess it's not even going to be an option for
Yeah.
much longer.
Pretty soon it
Stay
won't
at the
be.
Bellagio.
Exactly. Or
I've never
the
been to Vegas.
Excalibur or whatever.
Yeah.
I have only been there when I was 5.
That one time.
Like, in the late 90s.
Damn.
So we should go.
I don't know that I'm like, yeah, I feel like I've heard good things that it's like as an adult, especially like with families, it's fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm not down to like go and club anymore. But
no, I want to go to the Sphere. And...
Yeah, we should go for a show. That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Want to see like Cirque du Soleil.
Yes, that'd be good.
Yeah,
I also
that'd be fun.
Don't want to go to Zach Bagans' museum there.
Yeah,
it's just a little too much.
I've heard not good things about kind of how he handles some of that stuff. So yeah, I'm down to skip. But a haunted tour would be fun.
Yes.
Unrelated to Bagans.
Yes.
To our boy Bagans.
Favorite guy.
Okay, well, we will see you guys in a week. Hope you enjoyed some good old-fashioned ghost stories.
Yes, I'm sorry for the interruption. This puppy is something
that's
else.
okay.
He's
crazy. Hi, Bubba's.
Hi, honey.
Oh, he's so cute.
Everybody,
what
he's about to be 6 months old in 2 days.
The sniffing. Sniffing the mic is so cute.
I love you so
He's
much.
like, I just love you. And Binks is like, I'll bite you, Mom.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. Okay, friends, we will see you next week. And until then, stay spooky.
Bye.
Bye.